As a fan of both Persona and JoJo's, this episode has a lot to be excited about. Both these series have many similarities, but their power sets work completely differently, so the fight will be similar, but still unique. And even though Persona's verse is far stronger than JoJo's, Giorno does have an ability to keep the debate more interesting. Now, I was betting on Giorno winning, but honestly, since I like them both evenly, I didn't really root for either one to win. So even though I didn't necessarily want this matchup to happen, seeing this fight was always going to be interesting to me. Even though I saw so much toxicity in the debate. Except y'all. The comment section of my prediction video is pretty fire. Keep that energy up. Speaking of debate energy, let's just get straight into these analyses. The episode starts with us finally seeing an animated Wiz and Boomstick again. I get that this is just reused animation from episodes like Goku vs. Superman and Alex vs. Cole, but I've missed you. It's way better than what they had in the last episode where they just showed scenes of the fight. And then they go into Joker's analysis. This analysis was really good, although for some reason it felt somewhat short. I'm not sure if they kept it a certain length to keep in line with Giorno, who has notably less content, but nonetheless they did really good setting the groundwork for how Joker's abilities work and how powerful his universe is. Even if they had to have that weird edit when showing the metaverse, but you can blame that on Mark Zuckerberg himself. They showed plenty of personas, listed even more that they didn't show, and ended talking about Satanael, or Satanel? I don't actually know how you pronounce it, which was always going to be Joker's win con, so it makes sense to end on. I'm also glad they had extra emphasis on the social link aspect of Joker's story. It's the classic "my friends make me stronger" bit that you can find in so many anime. But in Persona, there is an in-universe application for this. Through the social links that the wild cards obtain, it makes them stronger in multiple ways and can even bring them back from the dead. This then leads to a cute part where Wiz and Boomstick are moving like images in Persona before Boomstick talks about going to date his teacher. I like Death Battle because I get to see the artwork, but I don't like Persona 5 because you get to date your teacher. That's a lie. I like Persona 5. But, why do I get to date my teacher? What the fuck? I wish that wasn't a thing. The only part of this analysis I would change is I wouldn't give Joker the Omnipotent Orb in his equipment category. If Joker had this orb in battle, there would be little to no debate at all. Giorno wouldn't even be able to do anything. I would just omit this entirely, seeing as Joker having the orb wasn't part of their argument and it wouldn't change the results. Giorno's analysis was also really good, but I don't think it was as good as Joker's. It went over Giorno's story well and explained JoJo's ability in a way that made sense. That doesn't sound too hard to do, but back in the day, trying to figure out Diavolo's actual power and what skipping time meant was insane. The anime helped with our understanding of this ability, but it was still debated whether time was still moving and people's awareness of that time was being erased, or if time itself was being erased. But they explained it well here. That goes for all of Giorno's abilities, including Return to Zero and Deathloop. In a black box, it talks about how Deathloop can be activated without a person actually dying, which I thought would be important in this debate, but we'll see later why it's not. There are a few random things in this analysis worth mentioning. That's right, Boomstick is back, so us Death Battle fans are winning even harder right now. They reveal that Boomstick drinks piss, which I don't know how I feel about, and they mention that Golden Experience Requiem acts outside of time, meaning that Joker would have no way to avoid GER. That was my main argument for why I thought Giorno won, so I'm glad I'm not alone in interpreting zero time in this way. I will say, for both analyses, the editing was nowhere near what we saw on OmniDoc. It was good and did the job really well, but OmniDoc was just on another level. I think people were thrown off in that episode how fast the edits were, but honestly, I preferred them that way. That's just a personal preference though. Now, the only part of the editing I didn't like in this whole episode is Giorno's background tab. It lists Dio and Jonathan as his father, says in the tab, "Don't ask," when referring to that fact, and then Wiz and Boomstick then go on to explain exactly how both can be Giorno's father. It's such a minor point, I know, but I just find it really odd. Anyway, I think I've said all I can say for the analysis. How was the fight? And the answer is fucking amazing. Seriously, they went all out on this whole fight. The best part about it is it feels simultaneously like a JoJo's fight and a Persona fight at the same time. Giorno throughout the whole fight is trying to understand and outsmart Joker, and Joker is acting very reactionary, which in Persona you would do when fighting shadows. You either overpower them immediately, or if you're struggling with the fight, you try different things to find their weaknesses and adapt to that. Joker is actively trying to adapt to Giorno, while Giorno is controlling the fight. Shooting in Persona 5 can be a weakness for shadows. So when Joker pulls out his gun in the beginning, it can read like he's just looking for Gold Experience's weakness. But then Joker's bullets are deflected and turned into bees by Golden Experience, which is for some reason a meme I don't understand. So then Joker goes for a curse type attack, which seems to not work on Gold Experience, but harm Giorno. Now in my reaction, I talk about how I disagree that a persona could hurt a stand. But until the ending, we don't actually see Gold Experience take any damage. I originally thought that since Gold Experience was hurt by Megaon? I don't know how to pronounce that, my bad. That the damage then transferred to Giorno and hit him as well. But this ability specifically works on all foes, meaning that he targeted both the stand and Giorno with that attack. That's my mistake, I own up to that. This back and forth goes on for the entire fight. Joker is trying to understand and counter Gold Experience, and Giorno is trying to use Joker's misunderstandings about Gold Experience to create openings. Joker sees a bee get made out of a bullet and lets the bee touch him, causing his body to be given heightened senses and open up Arsene to getting broken. Giorno realizes that distance doesn't make him safe, so he gets close to Gold Experience for almost the rest of the fight. Joker saw that curse-type attacks work on Giorno, so he tries Die For Me, which is a curse-type instant kill move. Giorno creates giant vines to avoid the blast radius, even though, like I said, Die For Me is an instant kill move. But I think no one would be upset by Giorno dodging it by getting away from the blast radius. Doesn't make sense in Persona, but it kinda makes sense in JoJo's. Giorno sees Joker swinging with his grappling hook, so he turns the hook into a snake. Joker, not understanding Giorno's ability, shoots the snake and shots get deflected into himself, leading to first blood. Every time Giorno hits Joker, it makes sense. Joker gets hurt when he's dazed from his persona being broken, when he accidentally shoots himself, and when Gold Experience hits him after his gun is broken. All instances where Joker couldn't physically move out of the way of Giorno's attacks. Joker using Jack Frost to try to null Giorno's creation might not make sense in Persona's verse, but there was an instance where Giorno couldn't use his life creation because it was too cold, so I believe freezing Giorno with Ice Age would have had the same result. Then we see the Requiem scene. I wish we got a better look at Return to Zero since we don't really see it at all. If he used Return to Zero when Jack Frost made Ice Age, the ice in the background wouldn't be there anymore. That being said, from the Requiem scene to the death of Joker to this beautifully animated 3D scene to Giorno's death where we literally see the power of friendship lead to Joker's victory, everything makes sense, everything looks amazing, and the choreography is almost perfect. I know I just did a pretty big play-by-play on this fight, but it's just so impressive how much it feels like an amalgamation of a fight between the two series. Liam Swan, the writer of this episode, you have a lot to be proud of in this script. Speaking of the script, the character dialogue and voices are all really good. Apart from the very first exchange where they both end each sentence with "to take," I don't know, it just doesn't jive with me, it just sounds weird when hearing it out loud. But the rest of the dialogue is perfect, especially the lines where Giorno says "two stands" and Joker refers to Gold Experience as a persona. God, I live for that shit. Speaking of that line, Diavolo had 2 stands and I'm pretty sure Giorno knew that. So I'm pretty surprised he didn't make that connection, but it's okay. Not a big deal. It also seems that a lot of people are confused what Giorno is saying at the very beginning. He's either saying "don't even touch me" or "Shoko Phantasma," and the only reason I believe that is because it says it in the storyboards. From what I've seen, Shoko Phantasma means foolish phantom, which is a nice touch. Kevin Andrew Rivera is a spot-on Joker, convincing people that they actually got Xander Mobus for the episode. Kieran Regan voiced Giorno, and he did a pretty good job. I'm biased with Japanese JoJo voices, so hearing them in English always throws me off, but he did good for what it was. Don't even get me started on the track. Requiem of a Thief is an amazing song. It feels very Persona while having multiple moments that show JoJo inspiration. It might just be in my top 10 death battle tracks, who knows. I just think they did a fantastic job with every ounce of this fight, but what would I add to the fight to try to bring it to the next level? Well, I'd have Futaba try to analyze Giorno and fail to understand what kind of persona he could be using. I know it's technically outside help, but he does pretty much always have that connection to her whenever he's in someone's palace, so it'd be a nice detail. I would add 2 more personas with 2 more scenes. Right after Joker talks about nullifying Giorno's ability, Joker could have used a persona to nullify physical attacks. Giorno would try to attack with his stand, but nothing would happen. Then Giorno would make Gold Experience tie Joker up with some vines, causing Joker to use Ice Age, really forcing Giorno into Requiem to break out of the ice. Joker would walk forward as the vines, now frozen over, shatter with his movements. Joker then uses an insta-kill attack, which is shown hitting and killing Giorno, before the scene where Joker is returned to 0 and his attacks and nullification never go off, leading into Giorno killing Joker and leading to the end of how Death Battle ended the fight. Now, I know for multiple reasons why this stuff didn't happen. This section isn't meant to say, look what they didn't do. It's just to have fun and think of what I'd add to the fight if I realistically could. Now then, fun's over. Time for the conclusion. The conclusion does its job really well, explaining why Joker had multiple ways to get around GER, even having ways to resist it outright. The only problem I have with this conclusion is the line about Dio ruining his son's death battle. It comes off as them saying if the JoJo's game wasn't used, Giorno would have won. Now, I read the black boxes and listened to the rest of their explanation, so I know that's not the case, but I can see where people got the misconception. There isn't much to say about the conclusion. The only question they had to answer was if Joker could get past GER, seeing as Joker stat stomps the shit out of Giorno, and I feel like they answered that question really well. My rating for this episode overall is an A. It has to be. It's a nearly perfect episode for a matchup I don't even like that much, but they showed a passion and understanding of both these characters and their series, so the Death Battle crew is deserving of the highest praise in my opinion. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. Was it a good episode, or was it the worst thing in the world? And while you're at it, on my community page, I have a vote that I'll keep up to see how people would grade this episode themselves. If you're subscribed to me or not subscribed, hop on over and cast your vote in. I'd love to see how a majority of people would rate this. In any case, I'll have my prediction for Bowser vs. Eggman up in 2 weeks, and a different video up a week from today, hopefully. Hope everyone enjoyed, and have a lovely rest of your day. Take care.